So good evening, everybody. I appreciate to take your valuable time on the precious weekend to spend here. I think we're going to spend some good time here to understand the roles in scaled agile, and more importantly, we'll be spending some time on clarifying the questions from these kind of sessions. It's not about giving more gyan, but then clarifying more questions. So let's get started with the topic of the day and by introducing myself. Though we know many of you know me, but then let's quickly introduce myself and move on. The goal of today's discussion is to explore the roles and responsibilities in SAFE. What are the different ways of working and what is expected? So before that, I'm Dr. Koti, and I've been in industry for more than 2 decades into IT and 1 decade into engineering force. And I've been practicing SAFE quite for some time from 2015. And I've been using both the Scrum and Kanban well before that and in the recent past as well. Having some transformation experience using the SAFE, I would like to spend some time today on sharing my experience from various domains. As you see here, I work for C-Prime, which is the financial domain banking aspect. And I do work with Carrier, which is the manufacturing, and even Otis Elevators to some extent with United Technologies. And most of my time I spent in the healthcare domain, where actually I did some work on the SAFE implementation as well. And those are some companies and domains. And then I have the consulting experience as well in bits and pieces, sometime mentoring and coaching as well in this area of SAFE interest. So that's all pretty much about me here. And I am sure we can learn from each other today by sharing our experiences here. So the agenda is a little bit introduction to the SAFE. If somebody is new to the SAFE, I'm sure most of you are familiarized with this SAFE, which is very popularly penetrating framework across the globe today. As per latest surveys as well, it is revealing SAFE is one of the promising scaling agile framework. And in specific, what are some roles and responsibilities in the framework, and how do you look at in terms of mapping, and what specific questions you may have in terms of understanding that we are going to explore. First and foremost thing, I would always admire with this quote from Harry Truman. It is amazing what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit. I think in any of the organizations today, this is the biggest problem in terms of who gets the credit. And sometimes people forget about the big picture of the organization and the goal of the organization. And actual work is being done by somebody and it is being claimed by somebody else. We have seen this enough battle, right? At least I have seen enough in my experience. I'm sure that some of the organizations are still lingering around the same attitude. If you don't really look at the way we need to work in the interest of organization benefit, I think this will continue to happen. Our goal is to maximize the value to the customer in the shortest possible lead time. For that matter, we all need to apply the system thinking, and without which it is just not practical. So it does not matter. There is no individual heroes in the enterprises or individual teams for that matter who can create the value. We must understand that we are all need to collaborate to the extent it required to make our customers successful. So if we can really give up this attitude, I think the miracles will start happening. This is what my experience, and this is what very, very important for any organization. So at the end of the day, what is the goal? It is to improve the business outcomes, right? And what we do as a business could be very contextual based on what is your organization is trying to do, who are your customers, what is your products and services you may be offering. So any organization, ultimately, how do they improve over a period of time in terms of the business outcomes, regardless of what they do to serve their customers? And when you keep this as utmost priority, I think we all need to behave in a way by understanding our roles and responsibilities and to make sure that we are working together for a common aim of the system to meet this business purpose. So with that here, this is the big picture. Just to see very high level view here. And the same big picture can be accessed at scaledagileFramework.com, which I can walk through in a while to show this what it means. So we have different configurations possible in the safe environment to be implemented. As you see this is the whole big picture of the safe possible implementation. And we have various roles as you see here in terms of trios and few more people here. And we do have some shared services, what you can see. And of course, the lean UX as a mindset and lean as a leadership as a mindset in the base of the framework we kept. And we will be exploring more from the roles here. How do they work in the interest of organization success? If you look at this big picture, what I just shown, this is the scaledagileFramework.com website, which everybody has got the access as of now. You don't need any specific access or permission. Please look at this website and everything is clickable here. Now, based on the organization, based on the size and the value they are creating, we need to choose one of this possible implementation of the SAFE 5.1 here. If you look at this configurations here, as the name indicates full, this is the best possible or full-blown implementation of the SAFE when you have different portfolio context, different value streams. They demand multiple trains to be started, and there might be an opportunity of only one train could be started for one of the value stream. So you have all kind of possibilities, single trains, multiple value streams, and portfolios. If that is what your organizational context, probably this full-blown implementation might be an option. Though it is an option, you may want to start with essential SAFE at some part of the organization based on where you pick the pilot to start the game. So if you look at this essential one, this is the smallest or the bare minimal configuration which you must implement. If you are claiming we are implementing SAFE, the bare minimal configuration is essential SAFE configuration. So earlier versions of the SAFE, we don't have this flexibility of configurations and seeing what is required and unseen what is not required. That hide and open options were not there well before I'm talking about. And when somebody look at the big picture to whatever the extent of the maturity at that point in time, people were always overwhelmed and again confused on what to do this kind of big framework. And later, I think that as the framework is evolving, we started keeping this kind of tabs and options so that if your scope of implementation is only this much, rest of the things may not be applicable for you. You need not to break your head about the big picture. Start the game here. Then slowly when you see there is a large solution possible, which means this typical train is not enough to create the value, then you go to large solution, then start multiple trains as a solution train. And as you see, different people, different roles are coming to support this configuration. If you go to essential, we have a bunch of people here, 5 key roles, 3 roles here, and business owner, and you are the system team here. Similarly, when you go to the large solution, multiple trains, so 3 more people added as a guiding pointers to keep the solution train on track. In the portfolio context, we bring the lean portfolio management, a group of executives who can work on the strategical direction to make the value flowing downstream. Similarly, when you go to the full, of course, everything is coming into picture, including your portfolio and large solution. Between large solution and portfolio, the fundamental difference is in the large solution, you don't find portfolio. When you go to portfolio, you don't find large solution, which means you can operate in the context of the portfolio by department, by business units at your enterprise, which does not mandate to implement large solution. I hope everybody is getting what it means. A portfolio does not necessarily mandate a large solution within portfolio to implement. If at all you think a portfolio demands large solution, then you need to implement full safe, which means you have the portfolio context, you have large solutions, small solutions, and everything else happening like that. And in the essential, a typical one or two will happen. Now, as you see here, different objects are changing on the big picture is the configuration you are choosing. And to simplify this full big picture in another way, if you look at the overview, the complete big picture of the SAFE will revolve around these 7 core competencies. And each of the core competencies has got 3 dimensions, total 21 dimensions to cover the breadth and depth of the scaled agile framework. And as you see here, it is the team and the competency of the teams who can build the value. So team and technical agility becomes one competency, which is the fuel to the enterprise. Without them, nothing will happen. And we all need to keep the customer at the center. With the ability of the teams and expertise, we start building the products. And when requires large solution, we can extend to the large solution. To make this happen, we need to strategize and bring that aspect of lean portfolio management, bring as a culture at the organization agility by changing what is changing in the marketplace from time to time, by bringing the right mindset and lean operations. We need to continuously keep this learning culture on as an organization with the buy-in of the leadership as the main proponent here. So if you don't have this buy-in from the leadership, nothing will happen. So it is a very mandatory competency kind of to start the game. Without having teams and their competency, even nothing will happen. So they become the ideal, critical elements in terms of components or competencies to make this working. Rest based on the safe level of scaling, you can bring different aspects there. If you look at this side of the picture, it is more or less strategical part of the game. How do you strategically build or predominate the culture and the LPM in terms of strategy and investment and all the things? If you look at the left-hand side, these are more execution point of view. How do you convert the strategical things into reality from teams to different solution level? So we will try to understand to make this framework more reaping the benefit to your organization. Who are the people can make it, at what level, and how do you look at them? So going back to this big picture, as you see here, everything starts with this essential safe as a fundamental primary step to start the game. And if you want to run this safe successful implementation, you must have the teams in place. And agile teams, as you all might know, these are cross-functional self-organizing teams. They do have these 2 special roles. We will be supporting this team to be successful. And if you want to deliver this solution to the customer, we have this virtual organization of Agile Release Train, where multiple of these kind of teams are connected together with a guidance of 5 to 12 teams here, which means you have that many teams, that many Scrum Masters and POs ideally. Of course, there is a possibility that you can share across the teams as well. As a guideline, we make sure that every team has got one PO and Scrum Master. And when this train forms, we need additional people, what you see here, release train engineer, system architect, and product management, and also business owner and system team. So if you go to large solution, we need to have 3 more people here. These are the additional roles. They do have certain responsibilities to make this overall solution train successful. This is nothing but a train of trains. Like train is a team of train, a team of teams. It is a train of a train. Similarly, in portfolio, this LPM plays the vital role to make the overall strategy and execution. So this is a little overview on the safe big picture, different configurations and different competencies and different roles, what you see here. So just to understand further, if you move on from here, I just try to keep some of these roles again, roles and responsibilities of the people. The general guidance in the SAFE is the Agile teams, as usual, like any other Agile team, they are cross-functional, they are kind of fully independent as much as possible. They are self-organizing. Those attributes still remain same, and they do have 5 to 11 as the size. What primarily they do is they create the value to the customer in terms of that incremental and iterative nature by understanding the customer needs through this product owner and creating the stories and refining them and understanding the acceptance criteria, definition of done. They try to do everything right from defining that work to delivering that work to the customers through that incremental value. And of course, these teams will be aligned to the overall objectives of the Agile release train, which we call the ART, and ART is running between the cadences of the program increment. So to make this role, by the way, this Agile team considered to be a role in the context here, and we have Scrum Master and PO as well. And if you look at the Scrum Master, ideally Scrum Masters are going to help in 3 dimensions. One, every Scrum Master has got something to work with the Agile teams to support as a team coach and as a facilitator and as a conflict negotiator. And also they usually work on the impediments which are beyond the self-organization of the team. So anything what teams request or required some help to mitigate some of the impediments, the Scrum Master will chime in and work on that as a person who is accountable to resolve the impediments. Sometimes people has got a big myth. Scrum Master has to fix all the impediments by himself or herself. That is not necessarily. Only thing we need to understand is Scrum Master has to facilitate resolving the impediments, which means he or she need not to do by themselves. They can connect the right people in the organization context to fix them. Similarly, as this person is working with the Agile teams to maximize their value and help them to be becoming high performance teams, if product owner requests for some help in terms of understanding the product itself or at times how to look at the prioritization, any questions in specific to the backlog, if PO requires some help, probably Scrum Master can help that as well. As a master of the Scrum, he or she has got responsibility after helping the teams to the other role, product owner as well. Apart from these 2 roles, a product owner can also help the Scrum Master can also help the organization in terms of streamlining some of the practices, cross-pollinating, learning from each other's Scrum Masters, creating a community of practice so that we are all learning from one another without reinventing the wheel. So there is a need of Scrum Master to centralize, to streamline, to help and cross-pollinate the practices across. That could be another accountability or the responsibility as well. So ultimately, this person is going to create that culture of adoption of agility in the enterprise using Scrum or some other frameworks as appropriate. Because in the SAFe, teams can operate in any kind of framework, not necessarily only Scrum. Still, we have the role of Scrum Master who will make sure that in the facilitation and also become a kind of good time box manager, making sure that people know how to maintain the time box. It's very, very important aspect. Scrum Master will be helping to keep the time box on and create a culture of engineering excellence and also good technical practices to be adhered. So in a nutshell, Scrum Master is the team coach. He or she is going to help to maximize the work of the Agile teams, and also they help in becoming high performance teams wherever they are working on, and they extend their help to both product owner and also the enterprise itself after helping their teams. Now, if you look at product owner, these people in a nutshell, with more collaboration, they will be working in the framework. So product owner becomes ideally the content authority for the team's backlog. If you remember on this big picture, as we have different backlogs here, we have team backlog here. The person accountable to create, to maintain, to refine, to prioritize, everything is product owner for the team level backlogs. That's what I mean by here. And these people are very closely working with the product management team. And whatever the guidance they get from the product management, they extend that information to the teams, and they become the bridge between the business side of the world and also to the development side of the world. And they will be clarifying all the questions what the teams might have. And they will be working with the teams to have their plans for the iterations, to define the goals, and to have that commitment towards working on the goals without changing anything in between during the execution of the iterations. Sometimes we call reciprocal commitment from the business side of the world. So a PO, if the teams are committing to deliver some work, that commitment when they have, the similar commitment should have from the business side of the people, until there is a compelling reason they don't want to change any priorities or backlogs during the course of execution. So these people will collaborate and coordinate with multiple other people in the framework for many reasons, before and after PA plannings, to make sure that we are working towards the right vision and roadmaps. These people will actually contribute to the vision and the roadmaps, as you see in the big picture, vision and roadmap here. So product owners will contribute for that. In fact, the product management team will owns this vision and roadmap. Then the product owners are going to contribute for that. This is what in a nutshell about the PO here. This is another important thing you need to understand, a little bit of overlaps or the individual activities these two roles will be doing. Product owner and product manager, in general, these two roles are little closely coupled, or there is a lot of strong correlation. Essentially, these people will work at the team level, these people will work at the train level. As you see the colors here, the orange color indicates, exclusive orange colors indicates that is the accountability of this role. Similarly, exclusive dark blue here and here at the end indicates their accountability. Wherever there is a common overlap, the common shared areas of concern, it is the responsibility of both the people. That is the reason there is an overlap of the colors here. So if you look at who is the content authority for the team, it is PO without any second thought. It becomes accountability. So who will be helping during the execution of the value? Both PO and Scrum Master, they closely work. That is the meaning of overlap here. Who owns the vision and the roadmap? It is the product management, as you see here. So this is what you must understand, the scope of these people, what is expected to be done exclusively by themselves as an accountability, together as a responsibility. So if someone you are looking for who will be creating this program backlog, who will be prioritizing this program backlog, in fact, this program backlog will have features. Who will be accountable to prioritize this work? It is product manager. So like the PO does here for the teams level, the product manager does for the program backlog. So team backlogs usually will have stories and program backlogs will have features. So PO means PO means team and PM means train. That is also important for you to understand the context at what level they are operating in the framework. So this is what very important to understand, the thin line between a product owner and product manager. In the real time, there is a possibility that the same person is playing both the roles in a small scale of startup companies and the small kind of companies. In a big, large scaling companies, of course, these two roles are very independent, but there is a potential possibility of playing one role in a startups kind of. Now, the next one is other important roles in the trying to be successful. I just explained about the team level roles and also a product management role because they go hand in hand. So PM will become essentially the driver for the program increment. who will provide the direction in terms of the vision, the priorities, what is important. Now, who will be actually making sure that this train is on the track by collaborating with multiple people? It is release train engineer. Sometimes we call this as a chief scrum master as well, because like the scrum master for the team, this person is for the train. And the scope is changing. Probably the accountabilities and actions might remain same. For example, a scrum master is help in resolving the impediments at the team level. Similarly, the release train engineer can resolve the impediments at the train level. The scope is train, just that he or she is helping in resolving the impediments by inviting the right people as needed. Now, if you look at the system architect, another important role, this person is accountable for helping in the architecture guidance for the entire train. So any decisions around the technology and methods, classes, inheritance, types of teams, what kind of support they need, how do you build the architectural runway over a period of time, all the guidance comes from system architect. Sometimes we call system architect or system engineering team or system engineer. And product management we understood, and system team is another interesting, I would say, role, but this role is not an individual person. As you see here, the system team is a group of people with some tools and technique. And what they do, while every team is working on their increment in the train, somebody has to integrate all the team's outcome. That is where system team will work as a system integration team to make sure that all the team's outcome is coherently coming as one single system. And they look at all the kind of possible testings, end-to-end testing and non-functional, to make sure that the whole system is working as expected. That is what the responsibility of the system team. And business owners are the people who actually got the vision and money, who wanted to get something out of the door in the interest of maximizing their own business. And these people typically fund this agile release trains, without whom this train may not exist. So business owners are the key stakeholders for a train to exist even in the first place, because they are sponsoring the work based on their vision and other aspect of the community needs. So these are the 5 roles at the train level to make this train successfully running all the time. Now, after understanding that, we do have a solution train engineer. As you see here, we need this person only when you are going to create large solution. What does that means here? If you go back to the big picture, if our intention is to create this large solution, then only this trio is coming into picture. If you are operating at essential safe, those layer or those people are not really required. And if you are going to portfolio, also you don't require that layer. The large solution, the business case for this is, let us say you are working on this essential one, and you figured out there are certain number of teams are coming together to create that solution. And there is a guidance for the agile release train, 5 to 12 teams are up to 100, 125 people plus. If you think the solution what you are creating is way beyond this number, then obviously you require to start multiple trains. And probably you need to connect them together in terms of integration of the overall outcome in the DevOps. So it is a must and should to have the coordination across multiple agile release trains here. And to make all of this happen, we have these additional roles which we need to understand. So since the value you have wanted to create is not fitting into one train, you may want to start multiple trains, and that's where this guidance comes from. So what this guy do, as you see the prior 3 roles and responsibilities, the same might be for these people as well, just that the context and the scope is changing one level up. And what this person also will try to do, when multiple trains are starting within that, in the interest of large solution, the coordination of multiple Agile release trains to make it happen together, and also the solutions and what we create at the end, metrics to measure and report is done, plan and actuals, and make sure that he will become a great orchestrator across multiple trains. So typically for the large solution PA planning, like the PA planning, there is a large solution PA planning as well. And there will be a lot of guidance there in terms of the overall solutions. This person will lead all the events at the large solution level. So again, like Chief Scrum Master, we call a release train engineer. You may also think this person is Chief Release Train Engineer because there are multiple Agile release trains. This person is going to help or support all the release train engineers one level up. So hypothetically, if you look at it here, we are just talking about roles one level up from here to here and here to there. So essentially, these people are senior most in the organization. And so we are talking about keeping them in the base of the framework as a mindset so that they're skin in the game. It is not about just telling leadership in the base, which means we are involving all these people. They may be in the real-time directors, senior directors kind of roles they play, but they come and connect to the big picture and they align in the interest of maximizing the value. Typically, these solution train engineers could be sometimes possible that vice presidents of the organization, some CXO people, also possible to play this role when you're creating large solutions. So then we have the solution management and solution architecture here. So typically, more than speaking, it is a single individual role. Of course, as a person, there will be one solution manager, and as a person, there could be some solution architect. So they go hand in hand in terms of figuring out the solutions to the customer. How do they define the solution? How do they actually build that solutions from defining to the designing? They use the concept of design thinking, that two dimensions what you see as an internal customers here. They try to explore what exactly the customer want. They also try to explore what exactly they need to do to build the right solution. So doing the right things for the first time is the ultimate goal. And when they're creating these large solutions, obviously that might require multiple trains. That is the message we are getting already from a large solution point of view. So they may have multiple product managers already representing certain trains, and there might be some system architects already supporting that train. When solution architects comes into picture, these people work as a dotted line with these people to take that message upstream to downstream as part of the solution roadmaps. So as we plan our iterations, we get the inputs from PA planning in the safe context. If you want to do the PA planning in the large solution context, you must get the inputs from the solution backlogs or solution roadmaps so that we can decompose into multiple trains and we can create or implement multiple features independently as much as possible. So essentially, the solution management is going to work upon the business value of the work what we are doing to the customers, and the solution architect will be working as an enabler to talk about what is possible, what is not possible, as a more feasibility kind of work, and help us to build the architectural runways in the interest of large solutions. So these two are one more level up in the framework in the interest of large solutions only. Now, if we go to one level up in the framework, we have this epic owner. And when I go to the full configuration here, we have epic owners, we have enterprise architect again. As you are scaling up, again, we may need to understand these two roles. In the safe context, we are talking about everything and anything works around these value streams. And these value streams are being running through the epics. As an organization, we have some strategic themes and we have the backlogs to be worked upon. And these backlogs are created from the epic standpoint of view. And you may have both epics and enablers in terms of the value creation. And if you want to really understand in terms of different value streams and everything, how this thing is being done, please visit this website and we have a lot of guidance. If you want to understand what is Epic even, you can click on that. And what Epic owner will be doing as an Epic hypothesis value statement to create for the work we are going to do. So ultimately, this Epic owner is going to work in very collaborative fashion with many people in the organization. Basically, every Epic, if you look at it very high level in the Agile requirements, Epic is the very high level root node of the requirement, the high level wish list items of the business, which is huge in nature. And these Epic owners are wanting to write that Epics. And of course, they will be closely working with the enterprise architect, who is the owner of the enabler Epic. So as you see in the big picture, anything you see in this blue color are called as the business epics, which means where the actual business value will be realized, where customers can get a feel of that work done. That's what the business sense means. There is a tangible outcome and people can reap the benefit as the end users. Enablers means basically the behind the scene work, architecture, infrastructure, compliance, and POCs, which will enable these epics to go to reality. So everywhere enabler means those four kind of work, and all you see this capability, features, and stories in blue color, they are the actual business value being created by doing this work. And for that, this team will be working closely with the enterprise architect for the feasibility. And again, different business priorities will be known from lean portfolio management. These people are going to continuously work with these people. And of course, they will be giving that feed of the epic and kind of split of the epic. And these people will further work on the capabilities by decomposing them. Similarly, PMs will work on the features and teams will actually work on the stories. Our goal is to make sure that how this role is being collaborated across in the organizations to make sure they're helping to maximize the value of the organization. So epic owners are accountable for the business epics. An enterprise architect is the owner for the enterprise level architecture here. And in terms of architecture, it could be a different choices of technologies and uses, infrastructure strategy, implementation strategy. All of these things are going to be defined and driven by the enterprise architect. Usually, the role says one, but in any organization, you may have more than one enterprise architects who has got hands-on experience and expertise on many of the things. In a nutshell, enterprise architect will provide the architecture guidance for the complete organization in terms of maximizing that value. So then comes your lean portfolio management here. This is a kind of function, I would say. I have intentionally kept this in the role spot because there are many people collaborating here to make any organization success from a lean portfolio management standpoint of view. As you see here, they have three primary functions. One is the strategy and investment funding. So when you go to the big picture, when we have the value streams to be realized in the marketplace, the development value streams here, and we need to plan the work, do the work, and get that reviewed and deployed and get the feedback and ongoing. This is the value chain and the value stream development wise. And when we are going to plan, how do you identify this value stream? How do you fund the value stream? How do you maximize this value? All depending upon how best you are going to realize your value streams in your context, and then try to understand what is that strategy and investment we need to do so that those identified value streams are successfully running in the marketplace. Now, if you look at the strategy and investment funding, we have certain people who are going to collaborate here. And these people are business owners, enterprise executives, enterprise architect. So as we discussed already, what is the importance of business owner and what is that enterprise architect means, when they join with enterprise executives, together they will be making the strategy and investment funding. That is the reason here the roles in terms of enterprise executives could be your C-level of people in any organization, C-suite people. And these C-suite people might be working in various capacities, maybe in terms of your business unit heads, or maybe your department heads, or any C-level people in terms of different enabling functions as well. So the role in specific here in the enterprise, they may be coming from different dimensions of the enterprise, who are the fiduciaries, who has the power of authority and financial abilities as an organization. Of course, even sometimes the business owners are also coming from enterprise executives only. Exclusively, this role exists in the interest of running the arts and sponsoring the arts. But there would be some more people like this at an enterprise level who has a common vision and alignment for making this organization successful. This is also important to understand. Similarly, once we have the strategy and investment funding here, we must operate them into the reality and keep governance. So here, these are not again the rules as such to speak, but these are the kind of group of people as a community of practice. When you look at this RT and SM, release train engineer and Scrum Master COPs, like-minded people come together to drive towards a common goal, and so they will help to maximize the value. So COPs are kind of ways of working, a group of people connected together for that common purpose. We know what is SM, we know what is RTE. When they come together, collaborate together with a like-minded approach of maximizing their own value, these COPs will add immense value to the organizations. Similarly, you have the Agile Product Management Office. Sometimes people call Agile Program Management Office, Agile Product Management Office. Sometimes even people call Value Management Office, VMO, which means their goal is to maximize the value in the enterprise. And you may have some people from the management background and also from a traditional PMO kind of. Those people also very successful here from my experience, as long as they can build the right agile mindset. So APMO helps in many ways as a function. Again, it could be a group of people connected to help organization to streamline some of the practices, sharing some templates, best practices, reporting some data base, the reporting of the numbers. These people usually work in the enterprise. Lean Agile Center of Excellence is another important team or function in the organization who has got the ability to have that skill of transformation as a change agents, and they try to help to create the backlog for the improvements and transformation. So again, I intentionally kept this slide here in the interest of making you to realize what is the importance of the LACE function as well. It's very, very important role in the success of the SAFE. Of late, people recognized without LPM, probably it is difficult to implement the SAFE. If you can bring this aspect of understanding to the senior stakeholders, probably they might be able to change the game. And so this LACE becomes very, very important, especially in the in the general transformational sense, in any domain for that matter. Now, if you look at the lean governance, again, we understand all of these roles, enterprise architect, business owners, and APMO, what I just explained. It is again a collaborative effort to keep the governance and to make sure that the investment what you made is being used for the good reasons of the organization benefit. So this is in a nutshell about LPM. It is a function, a group of people coming together in the interest of making you realize the importance of the APMO and the LACE as a whole. I thought I will explain this as well. Very, very important in terms of roles. And if you are having some PM background, the product management or the project management as a role, of course, you may want to think about APMO, a good place to work with that new agile mindset. Similarly, if you are the senior executives, you may be having some space here in the LACE, because LACE is all about all senior leaders in the enterprise, which also include the SAFE program consultant. SAFE program consultant is one of the typical role in the safe enterprise to transform organizations. So LACE will also have the SPCs and other senior executives to make some decisions or own the transformation backlog in a nutshell. Then SPC is the role. Again, if you look at the big picture here, this is SPC, Safe Program Consultant. And Safe Program Consultant is considered to be the most knowledgeable person about this framework. In a simple words, SPC could be a great change agent. And I don't think anybody else knows anything about this safe implementation more than SPC. SPCs are considered to be the subject matter experts in this framework to help organization to transform in a systematic manner. If you look at this implementation roadmap here, this has got the complete step-by-step approach of implementation of the SAFE. If you want to really successfully implement and reap the benefit, there is no shortcut for the success. It's a roadmap, and this has to be followed religiously. And who will be helping to implement this? It is SPC again. And that is the power of this role. Using this implementation roadmap, this person is able to make sure that organizations are getting the benefit of this business agility through safe implementation. So SPCs becomes very critical role in the organization. Without them, if somebody is implementing safe, I think success is a nightmare. I never seen any organization successful when they start implementing safe without having a release, a safe program consultant. Safe program consultants becomes very vital and pivotal for any organization success. Never ever try to implement safe without SPC is having there to help, to handhold, to make sure that you're actually being able to implement as per the standards, and they will be sharing their experience and they will contextualize based on our context, because one size does not fit all. They will be able to help you for the successful agile transformation to bring business agility. So please spend some time also reading on this SPC article, which is clickable from the scaleagileFramework.com. It talks about, again, a lot of the interesting stuff, what it means for you. And also all other things, whatever we are trying to understand, everything is clickable there, and you will understand some of the other aspects as well, especially in terms of roles and responsibilities as a flat list of, summary things. Please try to understand them as well as appropriate. It might be helpful for you if you are interested to grow in the scale agile implementation forward. So without SPC, there is no art launch possibly to be done. Of course, people may be doing. That's the biggest anti-pattern. In fact, we need more than one SPC for a fully loaded train to be launched. Now, another thing you need to understand here is shared services. And shared services is a great concept again on the big picture here. If you look at the shared services, so there are many potential roles required in the enterprise who can be shared across multiple teams, multiple trains, multiple solution trains as well, even multiple divisions, because we don't need all of their 100% time, unlike programmers or testers. These are the typically a niche skill people or specialized skill people whose service is required to some extent based on our own context. As you see different names here, enterprise architecture means thinking about the overall architecture of the enterprise to maximize different product lines. It is different from enterprise architect whom we are referring in the framework as well. So there will be a little bit of thin lines, thick lines here. It might be about a specialist in terms of the hacking, somebody in terms of the compliance, regulatory, statutory guidelines, configurations. Sometimes I have seen people keeping DevOps, but that is not a good sign. You should not keep DevOps as a shared service. DevOps should be the capability within the team to actually release on demand to the customer all the time. So earlier people used to keep this as outside the train as a capability. So it is not anymore outside. DevOps should be part and parcel of the teams or the trains capabilities. Rest all, it could be our database specialist, it could be configuration specialist, or it could be uh, internationalization testers, it could be accessibility tester. Any special niche skill which does not require 100% to the teams, we must consider them as shared services in the interest of maximizing their own value there. So any role you see in the organization who are helping, you must really understand how do you bring them into the perspective of this shared services. If anybody who need full time in your organization, probably you are going to make them part of the teams. If you don't make them part of the teams for a good reason, you can convert them into shared services or shared people. The reason for that is very simple, as we discussed. Either we need 100% of that capacity or only partial capacity required for a good reason of that niche skill. Based on that, you can always take some trade-offs. How do you really form the teams in terms of what makes sense in the context of your own organization, your own value stream, your own agile release trends, depending upon the context. I have seen most of these skills are shared across the enterprise, not only across trains. And of course, sometimes if your size of the organization is big, I also seen these skill sets are forming a team who is supporting the entire organization. For example, a compliance team, a regulatory compliance team. It is a special team who will make sure that compliance is being respected for the enterprise. That team might be a group of expert of compliance and regulatory things or statutory guidelines. Similarly, I may want to create some internationalization team whose job is to actually test that non-functional requirements regardless of what value stream you are working on, regardless of what product you are building. So some kind of these things which are very, very niche, we must really think about streamlining them, whether as a person, as a team, based on the size and scale of the organizations. So that is all pretty much from here. Again, if you go back to the big picture, what we are trying to understand here is, first of all, what are the potential possible configurations based on our context? And each configuration might vary the need of these people to be supported. As you see in the essential, many of these roles are disappearing. When you go to the full, every role is becoming quite obviously required to implement these configurations. Apart from these trios, we usually call these people trios, and we have additional roles it requires to be trained to be successful, your business owners and system team. And when you go to large solution, we have another trio. We will be managing the solution train. When you go to the portfolio or enterprise, we have epic owners, we have enterprise architect, and we also have lean portfolio management. And we also try to understand as part of LQM those three primary actions. And then we wanted to make sure that what we strategically plan should be seamlessly executed at the end of the day. For that, we must understand what is changing in the market, what priorities we are working on. If you don't have that strategic direction, probably this is not going to work for you. And again, no business as usual is a strategic theme. What is that indifferent thing or anything you're trying to do is what matters to keep your flag on, right? So make sure that you are leveraging all of these people. And of course, this one is very important on the shared services, what we just discussed. How do you identify people from different organizational elements to support? By and large, the big enterprise goals is what this function will be useful. And also, as we discussed, take the trade-off. How do you form these teams? And how do you form these teams based on their capacity allocations to the product or the services what we are going to work upon? So the last thing here, in any organization, at any point in time, if you want to really successful, it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. As Charles Darwin says there, way back, right? Well before the game, what we are realizing now, it does not matter how strong, how great, how intelligent, how smart you are. If you are not ready to adapt, you will extend in the market, period, whether you like it or not. We have seen enough organizations who are doing great job historically, and they are number one at one point in time. Today, they don't exist. The reason is quite obvious. They were not ready to change. They are they are in their own comfort zones. They were thinking they will stay as number one forever, which is unfortunately not practical for anybody even today. Those Fortune 1 companies, so-called today, if they start sleeping thinking we are number one, it does not take much time to lose that number one. In fact, forget about losing the number one, they may extend in the market. That is the speed at which the market is changing. That is the speed at which the requirements and the interest and the mindset of the customers are changing. We must rapidly change ourselves in the organizations to meet that rapid changes in the marketplace. If you don't catch up with the market, whatever the great things we do, it does not make sense because that is not relevant to the customers at the end of the day. So always be flexible, always be adaptive and receptive and understand what's happening around and see what best you can do to mitigate those things and overcome those challenges and inspect and adapt. There is no other shortcut for the success. So that's all pretty much here in terms of what I wanted to give some thoughts around these roles and some functions and other collaborations required to make this framework more reaping the benefit in your own context, kind of. So with that, I would like to say thank you for everybody, and I can take a pause here, and we have some time for any specific questions and answers on this topic of roles and responsibilities in the safe context. If anything else, I am more than happy by giving the priority to the questions on this topic today. If no specific questions on this, of course, after answering some of the questions, if you have anything else as well in the safe context, I am more than happy to see what best I can give some response from my experience. So with that, back to you, team. Anybody, any participants here, open for questions. Silence is not good always. Now it is your turn.
Anyone would like to ask Dr. Koti? Please raise your Emicon
I can see some
icons.
questions. I can see some questions coming in the chart here. I can take that up. And also, if you want to post the questions in the chat, you can post and our admin will take a look and read out and I can answer, or I can look myself if the questions are minimal here. So what is the best way to acquire the skills and be SPC? So SAFE is a great platform to learn many things. And there is a whole bunch of guidance on making sure that what is your specific area of interest? What are you aspiring for? And what are you deserving? What is your background? Based on that role context, you can grow in the safe journey. And as I told, as part of the earlier discussion, the SPC is the ultimate change agent in any organization when you are implementing SAFe. And these persons are considered to be subject matter experts. Now, how do you get there? What it requires to become an SPC? So, SAFe highly recommends you need to take a class of your choice. For example, your goal is to become SPC. And SPC, when you will become a change agent. You will try to help organizations to transform into SAFe implementation. So for that, first you need to understand the depth and breadth of the framework and the implementation plan. So there is a class called Implementing SAFe. Implementing SAFe will enable you to become an SPC certified. Now, most of the SAFe classes we teach to give the knowledge and understanding to play that role better. For example, the SAFe Scrum Master. SAFe Scrum Master, there is a class. If somebody is interested to become a Scrum Master, you can do the SAFe Scrum Master class, gain the knowledge, and you can go back and start applying as well. You need not to become a SAFe certified Scrum Master, so to speak. Certification is the byproduct of the class we are teaching. If you are interested to become a practitioner certified, if you want to connect with the community, if you want to take the digital badge, if you want to get the benefits of certification, do all of that. But SAFe never says you come and do the class, become certified, then only you are authorized to do the work. No. Certification is just for the additional benefits what you can claim your knowledge and showcase to the rest of the world. If you attend the class, if you gain, then you can go back and start implementing. Having said that, why I am talking about this history is SPC is a different ball game. Rest of all the rules in the framework is a different ball game. If you are a product owner, if you want to become a good product owner in the SAFe context, you do the POPM class, you understand the game, you go and play it. It is good enough to start the game. Unlike all of these roles, a SPC is the premier stuff in the SAFe context. You must really understand thoroughly about the framework, and you need to become a certified person if you want to transform the organization. Unfortunately, you cannot attend a implementing SAFe class and you claim that I am SPC now, I am ready to transform your organization. No, you cannot do that. You must be a certified SAFe program consultant after attending the implementing SAFe class. Then probably you will get acquired a lot of skills and competency and toolkits and access to the community, access to the peers in the worldwide communions. You have a lot of things to do there because you are going to change the game. It is not a 2 days class or any other class in the SAFe context. So it's a very highly professionally executable role after that implementing SAFe class. So long story short, if you want to build the skills of SPC, if you want to become a certified SPC, attend the implementing SAFe class from Scale Agile and partners, and then prove that you are certified. Then go back and start helping organizations by enabling different roles and education and learnings to your own corporates. So more details can be found on the big picture, SPC, how to become one. Also click on the implementation roadmap. There is a 12-step process of implementation. That is you as an SPC going to take that from step number 1 to step number 12 over a period of time. Does it? I hope that helps in terms of what skills it requires, the importance of SPC. Excellent. Thank you. I can see thumbs up there. And next question. I think one more thing you are asking about, do we need to do all certification? Not necessarily. If you want to really go to the depth of everything, you can do certifications. What I would recommend to do is before SPC, do at least leading SAFe class. That will give the complete breadth and depth of the framework. With that knowledge, you can go to implementing SAFe. Even implementing SAFe, first 2 days is leading SAFe only. but we teach something more than the leading safe class. But essentially, you need not to do all of this. There are 14, 15 courses offering in the safe. You need not to do everything. Once you become SPC, there is a path. How do you enable yourself on those courses? You will get the access from the community. You will get to see some good videos and audios, podcast, your different articles. There is a structured approach which will help you to enable yourself to understand remaining certifications. So if you want to really go to the depth of the knowledge by spending additional time, based on your time and affordability, you can do all of that. Otherwise, my recommendation is at least do the leading safe, then go to implementing safe, enable yourself to understand the rest of the game. At least some important classes like LPM, Lean Portfolio Management, one of the premier class and very, very important. You can do that in spite of you being an SPC. DevOps at times may be useful if you have some technical background or interested to do that. Agile product management maybe or may not be, not necessarily. Release train engineering is very powerful. Even if you're an SPC, you may want to do the release train engineering class. So RTE and LPM, leading safe, could be potential certifications for SPCs before you become or after you become, does not matter. That might help you to get more insights. Rest of certifications, I would say it's an optional, purely based on our interest. After that, I see another question. What is the difference between Safe Scrum Master and Certified Scrum Master by Scrum.org? In fact, Certified Scrum Master is not from Scrum.org, by the way. It is called Professional Scrum Master, PSM. Again, there are levels, PSM 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. Certified Scrum Master is from Scrum Alliance. So there are different school of thoughts across the globe. We have at Scrum at Scale, right? We have Scrum.org, Scrum Alliance, Scrum Works, whatnot. There are many bodies who offers these Scrum Master trainings. Now, fundamental difference between Safe Scrum Master and the rest of the world, regardless of what is that means. Everybody teach what a Scrum Master is supposed to do in the context of the Scrum. In the safe, what we teach, one, yes, what a Scrum Master is expected to do, plus what is the safe framework is all about, plus how do you connect to the safe framework if you want to successfully run the executions and help your teams to be successful. I would say Scrum Master knowledge plus safe knowledge will become more familiarization in the safe Scrum Master. In principle, the competency wise, knowledge wise, there is not much difference, but more to understand the framework and you connecting to the framework in the context so that you can maximize the value by yourself after understanding the framework. That's the difference, I would say. I hope that helps. Then after Certified Scrum Master, which safe course should I take? So basically, it depends. A classic answer from a consultant like me. What are you doing right now is the question, first place. Are you playing the role of Scrum Master? And so you have done the safe Scrum Master? That is questionable. Of course, you may be playing the Scrum Master role, but not in the safe. Then that is also a questionable. So what are you trying to do is what matters for what certification you need to do. I need to understand more. So basically, if you are in the safe context, after Scrum Master, I would see as a safe advanced Scrum Master is the best bet if you're practicing Scrum in the safe context already. And also the next advanced level could be release train engineer for you as a career progression. Scrum Master, advanced Scrum Master, and release train engineer kind of. If you are implementing safe and if you're playing that role. Otherwise, none of these courses will be making sense until unless you practice in the safe world. I hope that answers your question. Out of the context here, shall we claim PDUs after attending master class? Okay. I think we have that ability. What you can try is, anyway, we are collaborating here in many ways to offer this kind of classes. You go and claim this one PDU under continuous education as offered by Garranto and our Empiric. From the date of today and the timing, see what happens. Hopefully it should be approved. Because if you create a pre-approved PDU class, it will be automatically credited when we give the attendance, but we are not creating that pre-approved kind of PDU set. But my gut feeling is you can always claim this because it's a formal open session kind of. Every 60 minutes is eligible for one PDU, and you can give a try and let us know what happens. Then we'll figure out that. Maybe in future we will try to figure out if we can do some kind of pre-approved kind of stuff. Then is there any difference in scaled Agile and Scrum Agile? So this is an interesting question. First of all, there is no scale Agile or Scrum Agile as such as a concept. Agile is a mindset. Agile is a big umbrella to bring that agility to the world. And that mindset is required to maximize the value to the customer. Now, if you want to bring that agility in the life of the organizations, you need to choose one path or other. Now, there are various frameworks and methods, different aspects possible to become more agile ways of working. Scrum is one way, Kanban is one way, extreme programming, feature-driven development. There are many more ways of working in the agile world to bring that agility. Now, all these things at times considered to be the team level frameworks. But if you want to scale up to the next level in terms of few hundreds of people working on a common goal, we need to think about scaling agiles. So scaling agile means multiple people are working on a common goal. For that, SAFe is one of the framework. Like SAFe, there is Nexus, there is Scrum at Scale, there is Less, which is called large scale Scrum. There is Spotify. There are many scaled agile frameworks to scale up the enterprise value. So agile is the mindset. When you work in a single teams, you can apply Scrum, XP, so on and so forth. When you're working with multiple people, you need to bring SAFe kind of frameworks. And as you know, in the beginning I mentioned, SAFe is one of the popular scaling agile framework when few hundreds and thousands of people working on a common goal. I don't think any other competitors are even nearby in competing with SAFe today in terms of scaling agile. So Scrum is at team level, SAFe is at a bigger level of larger audience working on a common goal. That is the fundamental difference. I hope that helps as well. How do I understand scaled agile in short? Scaled agile in short means, as I just explained, we have a team creating some value to the organization. That small team is enough to create the value means a small, nimble startup kind of value creation happening. You need not to think about scaling agile. Scaling agile is the concept when you need more people. When I say more, not 5, 6, 10 people, few hundreds of the people, few thousands of the people working on the common goal. That is where we say we are scaling agile for a common purpose. And that's where these frameworks kind of SAFe and Spotify, Less and all those, you can choose based on your context. Because again, why SAFe is popular? Because they entertain any framework at the team level, not necessarily only Scrum. If you go to Less, Scrum at Scale, Nexus, usually they expect everybody is doing the Scrum. And they don't have the luxury of adjusting the levers when people are having different kind of frameworks at the team level. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Koti. Thank you, Koti.
I think that's all. I see questions in the chart here. Any other specific questions? Anybody? More than happy to answer. We have a few more minutes to go. Or any feedback? If no questions, how this is useful for you. Spending a valuable weekend, precious time here. Would love to hear if it is making sense or we need to do something more better for the upcoming sessions.
Senthil accidentally sent to directly me the message. His question is actually how APMO can manage agile delivery with some fixed time frame.
So, yeah, I see that question here. How APMO can manage delivery with fixed timeline.
Yeah.
See, basically, APMOs will be supporting as an enablers. They don't own the delivery in the safe context for that matter. So we have the release train engineer, we have solution train engineer, we have the product management team, solution management team, who will be held accountable for the delivery of the value. So in the safe context, if you are asking, it is the product management who will be making the decision of what is the content to be released in the marketplace, what is the release date it could be, and what is the budget we are having, how much is spent, how much is more needed. All the ROI, budget, timelines, content are done by the product management team. That's what I talked about, release train level. There is a product management team. And APMOs will support in terms of some of the data collection, the templates and the meetings and many more administrative stuff, and also beyond that, some facilitation in some of the aspects. Otherwise, delivery will be owned by the PM. That is one thing first you need to understand. Now, the question is, how do you manage with fixed timeline? It is very simple to understand. We all know it is not about any more iron triangle in the safe or agile. There is no scope, time, cost business here. It is all about value, quality, and risk. That is the golden triangle, what we usually say. Now, if somebody is telling we have a fixed deadline, what is that we will be doing? So it is fair to say we need something by so and so date. In agile world, you can always dictate the timeline. We wanted to do something by this date, but you cannot say that something, what is the text? What does that means? You cannot say, I wanted all these 10 features by 31st March, period. You cannot ask that in the Agile. It is irrational. It is unreasonable if you are coming to Agile. What you can ask in Agile is, in general, I am talking about, not only in the safe. I have this much money. What is that you can do for me? This is the way of approach getting the value in the Agile world. I have this much money. What is that you can do for me? Or I have this deadline. I have this backlog. What can you deliver for me? Otherwise, I have this much money. I have this deadline. I have this much budget. I have this deadline. What is that you can deliver for me? Always keep scope as a variable. You cannot dictate variable as a scope. This is what I need by so and so date. This is what I need with this money. It is just impossible. If somebody is promising, that is a false predictability. Never ever rely on that. It does not happen. I have seen all these, my experiences. And that is what the open secret of the Agile world as well. Why anybody comes to Agile? Not to fix the scope, not to freeze everything. If that is the case, waterfall do wonders. So in Agile, always remember, you can dictate the date, you can dictate the money part, but you cannot dictate the scope part. We need everything within this time, within this timeline. It does not work, especially in a complex world. That's my experience. Okay, good. So WSAF also you're talking about value stream. Good. I think it is all about mindset. At the end of the day, what is that we are acting and thinking today in the interest of the current relevance? The more you can understand what is needed in the marketplace, what customers are changing their mind, how are you adapting, how are you prioritizing, is what very, very important. When you're talking about WSAF technique, That is not one time done, right? Forever in the life. It is a continuous process. What you see important today may not be the same for tomorrow. Once you sequence some work, you start executing that work. By the time you are going to plan next time, you continuously evolve this WSJF also. Because the time criticality is changing, the user business value might be changing with the timelines, and also the RROE, risk reduction and opportunity enablement, can also change. These are the three components of the cost of delay. And our WSJF means cost of delay by the job size, which is going to change all the time. So always continues to focus on what is changing, how the time criticality is changing, how the risk is reducing, how customers are feeling, how happy they are. They all dictate to change the WSJF numbers. And the more you can keep a tab on that, probably you can maximize the value to the customers all the time. Any other questions, team? Okay, if no questions, one more time, any feedback on the session before we call off and take a few minutes back?
Good Noah here. Thank you for organizing this, and I did really felt good in getting a brief refresher of what you have just gone through in the last 1 hour, because primarily there's a whole theme that made me to join this. And yeah, keep organizing such short clips of short glimpse of the whole agile framework, because it kind of goes back in time in terms of just to get a refresher of okay, what's the theme, because having going through the scaled agile framework and the courses, it often gets to us to a part where what exactly is this particular section that we talked about, it's more of a refresher where we are coming from, what we learned. So it's always good to have this kind of catch-up session, and for me it's more like a catch-up session for me. So it's a refresher and catch-up session, and it kind of reiterates what we learned, and just kind of a refresher memory on what's the safe all about, how our mindset into this, and how are we carrying down, just to align ourselves into into the agility part, how are we doing. It's more of a milestone checkpoint on how I progressed versus how the safe the values that's been put in the framework, and where am I really doing it right or not, or where I'm stuck, or it's more of a guidance path. Okay, so this is where I am, so that's how it helped today. And thanks for organizing this session. Yeah.
Thank you, Bala. Really appreciate that candid feedback. Good. Anybody else? Anything else? Good then. So if no other questions, comments, reflections, so I thank you everybody for joining and keep focused here and ask some questions and validating our understandings. Looking forward for more of these things, and then stay tuned and see you all soon once again later. Take care and stay safe.